What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and we usually feature a beer of the week. I am Matt. With me is Lauren. We have a little bit of a different episode this week as we are going to be joined by our friends Joe Bablazzo and Christian Atley of the Heretic Party Pod here in a little bit to talk about seasons 1 through 5 of Supernatural. But first, we're going to talk some Supernatural, the ending of season 5, to pick up where we were kind of left off last time. This is your first time on the show. Well, we hope you stay. Of course, normally we do news, beer of the week, what we've messed up on, what we've been reading or watching. Today's a little differently, but don't forget to subscribe and tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandparents. I don't care who it is. Play those episodes. And if you feel so inclined, join us, patreon.com/HopsGeekNews. That said, my beer of the week is from Dorchester Brewing Company out of Dorchester, Massachusetts. It's called Forever OFD. It is a double IPA. It says on the side of this can.
Oh, like fodder. So it was brewed in a fooder.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm having 2 beers on this episode, so this is my first one. So I am hoppy, balanced, classic Mosaic and Galaxy double IPA, fresh local craft, proudly brewed in Boston. Now, Dorchester's kind of a rough part of town. Wouldn't recommend going there by yourself. However, it is still pretty good. I didn't know they had a brewery there. So when I went home, I picked up some beers, and I haven't really drank beer in a little while. Been kind of recovering and just not in the mood, which is weird. Something might be wrong with me. And that's my beer of the week.
Your
So
body's just trying to be healthy.
I mean, that too. I haven't really been able to work out like I normally do. So I'm trying to just be cautious.
Right. It's like never drink if you don't want to. There should be no obligation to
Or
drink.
if you're sad, always drink when you're sad. No, I'm
sorry. Oh, that's a terrible idea. Only if drinking makes you happy. Yes. I don't know if that's good either. I don't know. So if you follow me on the Hoppy Mommy, I posted this on my Instagram and my TikTok already, which I'm going to do a shameless plug for myself. Anybody who's on TikTok, we are on TikTok, Hops Geek News, but we want to try to be able to go live together, but you have to have 1,000 followers to do so.
And I'm really lazy on TikTok.
I am stuck at 680. So if you give me a follow, so then we can go live more often. But I did post this beer. This beer is absolutely delicious. It's from a la carte, which a la carte is a little like beer bottle place by us. I've mentioned them multiple times. Their beer options always blow my mind. Like they always have fantastic stuff. And what it is they have like a permanent building with quite a few beers on tap and an amazing can line always. And then they have like food trucks that are there, not permanently, but like semi-permanently. So you have multiple options and it's like a little yard area. They do like movie nights. It's very family friendly. And my husband and I got this beer on tap and loved it so much. We got some cans and I'm drinking the last one. I hope he doesn't get upset.
I love that can. Dang, I would
we drank 2 of them yesterday. Well, if I go back, I'll try to get more. It's a triple IPA. It is a collab from a la carte and Arcane Ale Works, which is in Largo, Florida. I have not been to Arcane yet, but I've heard nothing but good things about Arcane. And it is called Super Saw Brothers 3 triple IPA. And so I picked this one because it's absolutely delicious, but also because much like in Mario, you die and you come back to life. Much like in Supernatural, you die and come back to life.
Oh my God, the amount that they all die and they just come back, and it's like, I like how the later seasons, they're like, dude, how are you back? I don't know. They just kind of like,
oh, it gets even worse with that. They're like, why are you alive? Well, and they even made a comment. I'll jump ahead to an episode that you just watched was, oh, you guys have died more than you remember. Yes. You just don't remember dying. So it's like, I feel like that could be like a web series of all the times they just randomly die. And they've probably hung out with like Ash and whatnot there. That's true. But it is the game 2 of the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry, game 5. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And so the Heat, a lot of people thought they were dead and they came back to life.
Nobody thought the Heat were dead. Everybody knows that playoff Jimmy Butler is a whole other beast. And Eric Spoelstra is like one of the best coaches in the league. So nobody counted him out. He is.
Spoelstra is awesome. I love Spoelstra. Well, they were saying like before this series started, though, they're like the Heat have a 3% chance of beating the Celtics.
That's just because you can never look into
We were 8th seed, so that's why. But
people who know basketball knew how this would go.
But how pretty is this glass? If you like the Heat and you like beer, Miami
we don't
hops.
like either. We like beer. We just don't like the Heat. So anyways,
I like the Heat.
Moving on to
305, Miami Wade County. Let's go Heat.
Right. Yeah, let's move on. Let's talk Supernatural. We're going to pick up with season 5, episode 15, I think, right?
Yeah, Dead Man Don't Wear Plaid.
Man, that's how long it's been since we talked. I have finished it. That's crazy. So we're just going to kind of go through these kind of briefly, not spend too much time. But in this episode, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, the episode title got its name from the movie Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, which is the Steve Martin film that came out in 1982. In this movie, Steve Martin's character interacts with characters from old black and white movies by splicing the old scenes with the new scenes. The new actors were able to interact with many actors that had passed many years before, much like the deceased people in this episode interacted with their still living loved ones. So, the premise of this was Sam and Dean travel to Bobby's hometown to investigate why the dead were rising from their graves. And then Dean has a strange encounter with Bobby's dead wife. Yeah, his wife came back. That was weird.
Karen, she was so sweet.
She was. She was nice and sweet, but this one was kind of creepy because it's like the zombie aspect. And then eventually they kind of go crazy and started eating people's faces and stuff. And it was kind of gnarly.
It's like, you were going to kill me? You're a zombie. No, I'm a taxpayer.
Yeah. Like I'm a citizen. I'm a tax-paying citizen.
And then you got to meet Jody. So Jody you're definitely going to see her again. She is really? Somewhat of a staple from here on out. I don't know when the next time is. I know what the situation is the next time you see her, but I don't know how long it'll be. But there is a line in this where Dean's like rubbing his head, and they're like, oh, talking about the zombies and Revelations and the apocalypse, or Revelation, not Revelations. And Dean says, "Must be Thursday," and that was because they used to air on Thursday. So a little meta line in there for you.
Clever. Yeah, good episode. It was cool to see Bobby's wife, and because Bobby was very hesitant to do anything. He's like, "That's my wife, you son of a bitch."
I know. He was lying too. He was lying to them.
He was.
And she was so young. I'm guessing she was the age she was when he had to kill her.
Right. Yeah. Because if you remember, Bobby had to kill his wife, and that's kind of how he got into hunting. And
but he thought he had to kill his wife, which is much worse because he later realized that didn't do anything. So he carries, that guilt around with him constantly.
Poor Bobby, man. We're gonna get to it. There's an episode in season 6 that we get to spend with Bobby, and I'm like, good for you, Bobby. Anyways, episode 16 is Dark Side of the Moon, which of course was named after the Pink Floyd album. This one is ambushed by angry hunters. Sam and Dean are shot and killed. They are then sent to heaven. Castiel warns Dean that Zachariah is looking for them up there in heaven. Fun facts: the hunters that kill them are Walt and Roy. And Ash mentioned Disneyland and Magic Kingdom.
So Walt and Roy, of course, are Walter Elias Disney, and Roy, don't know his middle name, Disney. So that is Walt Disney and his brother Roy. So I love that because then there was also the references to the parks. As soon as that was one of the few Easter eggs I caught the first time on my own, because I was like, wait, Walt and Roy. There's so many things that I didn't catch until my second, third, fourth, or my Google search.
This episode was fun.
Well, yeah, and the fact that they're in heaven, it's kind of like a parallel. Like some people consider Disney to be heaven, and like it's you create your own little heaven. Maybe I just went off on a Disney adult comment.
Well, no, you're right. Wasn't this like, the one where Sam? No, this one isn't the one where Sam and Dean like didn't talk ever. No, I can't remember.
No, that was the Jinn one. That one wasn't real.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. This is the one
where they die and they learn when you go to heaven, you're just replaying your best memories. But of course, Ash has figured out how to beat the system in heaven, and he can travel to other people's heavens. And that's why, and of course there was some here, I'll let you read the fun facts and then we'll go over it
more. There are numerous homages to the film Matrix and its trilogies in this episode. Dean mentions the movie, then Ash navigates the Angel radio on his computer in a fashion very similar to the way operators navigate the Matrix. Zachariah mentions he has 4 heads, making him a seraph. I can never pronounce that.
That sounded right.
Is the name of a character in the trilogy. The character of Joshua shares several traits with the Oracle. And finally, when Zachariah catches the boys, the room is bathed in a green light, alluding to the very green look of the world inside the Matrix. And this is where we get confirmation that God did in fact save the boys and put them on a plane when Lucifer rose, and he rebuilt Cass.
He only rebuilt Cass because ratings would plummet every time Misha Collins was no longer on the show. So
was that the case?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Wow.
Misha Collins was only supposed to be on for a few episodes. Really? And so people loved him, so they kept finding ways to keep him in, and then they would kill him and they would have to find a way to bring him back.
Well, I do love him. I see why, because in this, like, he kind of really becomes unhinged in this season slowly.
You think he's unhinged now?
Well, he becomes a human, and then he becomes like an alcoholic, and then you can see his backstory, and he's also kind of like goofy at the same time as he's doing all this. So
right, because he's just literal and he has no sense of pop culture awareness. Well, and you saw in the
yes,
beginning of season 6 too, with my people skills are rusty. But
yeah,
now I always love because everybody does that. I understood that reference with Captain America, and
yep.
then you have Cass. I don't understand that reference. So that's always a cute little parallel.
Oh yeah,
So there was
sure.
also, they were doing with like the poltergeist, like Castiel was literally in the TV, and Dean even refers to him as the little girl's name in there. But it was, interesting though that like they're reliving their favorite memories, and like Sam's is at Thanksgiving, and like he's very uncomfortable because he was like 12 at that
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, and this little girl's like touching his leg. But it was kind of fun, and of course we got to see Mary, world's worst mother,
that's
and
true.
start to get a little bit more behind.
Well, it's cool to see like what their idea of heaven would be like too, in a way, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And then of course, there's some people see a tunnel or some people see this. What do you see? Of course, Dean sees a road. That makes
Yeah,
complete
that's
sense.
true.
The road so far.
Yeah. Well, next episode, we have 99 Problems, which a
But a
town is
bitch ain't one.
prepared to, yes, the demon is one, Lucifer is one, but this town is prepared to fight the apocalypse. However, a minister's daughter sows discord amongst the ranks. Man, this episode creeps me out because religions are cults. This was the 99th
Episode
episode of
was
the show,
amazing.
but also they got 99 problems, and yes, a whore is one, which they had to kill the whore. Who's the whore?
He's like,
Your
she's not
daughter's
a
a
prophet.
whore.
She's a whore. Jeez, Cass, tell us how you really feel.
Sam, of course, is an abomination. Uh
These are just some of Castiel's amazing quotes in this.
oh
Like, because you
yes.
need a messenger of heaven. He's like, it's not me, it's not Dean. Sam, of course, is an abomination. The don't ask stupid questions. I found a liquor store and I drank it.
Yes,
And
because Cass was wasted in this one.
with some of the stuff I would think back and like, well, that doesn't make sense. How could he get drunk? He's an angel. It's like Wolverine. Like you can instantly regenerate. Like, why would you have a hangover? You can regenerate. He's not being able to tap the powers of heaven,
Yeah.
and he can't heal other people. So it makes sense that he can't heal himself. He has wings, so he can still fly. But like that was one of those things I never fully understood because, when you watch him, I don't know, for the first time, it just gets so much more every time.
But this one was messed. Like, because this is very, you kind of see it in like modern day religion, even how easily a whole crowd of people were swayed, and then they
To do evil, yeah.
yeah, they think they're doing the work of the Lord, but they were swayed to be doing evil. They're locking kids in a closet to slaughter and light them on fire, and it was
Right.
kind of dark, man.
Like the one woman, you do anything for your kid, but are you going to damn yourself to, eternal damnation to bring
Yeah.
your child back?
And this was also when we,
Hard one.
Dean ends up killing the hooer, and it's kind of that's where it's, hey, he was going to say yes to Michael.
Yeah. And so he was a messenger of God.
Yeah.
And I think that was maybe some of it. He thought, okay, maybe, I was able to do this and I didn't think I could. And it's also a last ditch effort. He's desperate.
Right. Well, yeah, at this point, he definitely is. He doesn't know what else to do at this point. And so this leads us into the point of no return, which is episode 18. Zachariah has a new plan to overcome Lucifer. However, the strategy has unforeseen destructive consequences. The number of Dean's hotel room is 100 because this is the 100th episode of the show. And the point of no, KNOW, similar to the title of this episode, is the title of a song by the group Kansas, the performer of Carry On, My Wayward Son.
The unofficial theme song, but also the official theme song
It's
of
kind
Supernatural.
of the official theme song, I feel like.
I think everybody does now.
Yeah.
I mean, the very last episode's called Carry On.
It's true. I don't really remember this episode. I'll be honest with you.
The point of no return, Zachariah. Okay. I think this was the one where they tried to lock Dean in the room.
Maybe he leaves. I think, doesn't he? He's gone. Yeah, guys, we're killing it.
I'm gonna pull it up.
I don't honestly remember this episode. I don't really remember.
Well, I copy and paste the descriptions from IMDb, but I usually know. Yeah, it's the one where Dean's in the room. And so they've basically got Michael, and Dean gets in the room and like he tells him he's going to say yes. And then he doesn't. And he like winks at Sam.
Oh, yeah. That's where he kills. Yes.
He kills Zachariah. Yes. Yeah.
That's right. I remember now.
But then Adam gets locked in the room because Adam was too busy looking around the room to get the hell out of there. I don't know why Dean had to carry Sam out and not Adam.
Yes.
Clearly, it was so Adam could
Because
get locked in
Zachariah's
the
plan was
room.
to bring Adam. Adam comes back to life, their stepbrother, and
Half brother.
half brother. That's what I meant.
But he's
And
got to have the blood of John.
yeah, so he's gonna say yes and become the new vessel and all that stuff. However, Dean pulls a fakie, and this is where we finally kill that asshole Zachariah. Yes, now I remember this one. You're really good. It was
a dick in this.
there's a lot of emotion. One thing Jensen does really well is he portrays emotions very well, which I think is why they always give him the more emotional scenes and beats, because he does such a good job with them.
Yeah, and it makes sense too with him being the older brother, having to carry more stress and weight and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's why so many supernatural people have also said, like, why is Jensen Ackles not getting like, bigger roles? And I think part of it was because he was so committed to Supernatural. Like,
agreed.
Somebody straight up asked him in an interview when he was talking about The Boys, like, did you audition for Captain America? And he's like, because that's like a rumor. And he's like, no, I didn't have time. You think MCU is going to work around my schedule when I'm on the CW or, filming 21, 23 episodes a season?
Well, he's
But
also
yeah,
part of like
he's
the biggest
so much
show
range.
just about too. That's also why, like, I think it's one of those things where I'm a part of, like, he's having fun. He met his wife. He's had his best friend. He's, why would you? Like, it's a safe bet,
Yeah.
but also like this is one of the biggest shows, and he probably knew that, and so I don't know.
Right. And the whole thing was, like a family. I mean, you even hear it on the podcast they do. Everybody knows everybody and they're friends with everybody and
Exactly.
everything. But yeah, no, Supernatural fans have been saying for years, like Jensen Ackles doesn't get the credit he deserves because his superior acting is on a CW show. And I think he's starting to get that. And like he was really good in The
Oh,
Boys.
really good in The Boys, yeah.
But I still feel like it didn't show how good he is. I mean, he had those scenes with Homelander at the end, which were,
Right.
phenomenal. But he just, yeah, you see, and he's so good at delivering comedy too. And he's good at switching it back and forth.
Agreed. For sure.
So,
yeah. Well, this one takes us into we're on to the Devil UKNO.
nope, skip episode 19, Hammer of the Gods.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. Gabriel.
The Winchesters are abducted by a group of renegade gods who want to use them as a bargaining tool to stop the apocalypse. Fun fact about this is the Elysian Fields, also called Elysium, are the final resting place of the souls of the heroic and virtuous in the Greek mythology and religion.
Yeah. The hotel was the Elysian Hotel.
So they're at this weird hotel. They're like a 4-star hotel in the middle of nowhere. They're like, how did we get here?
And there was a biblical storm outside.
Yes. It turns out that a group of gods, I can't remember all of the gods' names.
Oh, God. There was a bunch. Odin was one of them.
I know. I remember like Odin.
Kali was one. The elephant dude was one. Wasn't it Hermes that was really fast that was taking people's blood?
I think so. And yeah, I remember the elephant one because they open the door and they see a guy with an elephant.
It's like, do you mind? Or what? I don't remember what he said.
That was good. Have some privacy or something like that. That was good. But yeah, so they basically are kidnapping, and Sam and Dean are like, hey, why don't we work together? We'll kill Satan. We'll call him here. We'll bring him here and we'll kill him together. That doesn't work out, obviously.
Not so much.
Satan does show up. They do bring Satan. However, it obviously doesn't work out. Satan kills everybody. And this is where we find out the trickster was actually Gabriel the whole time.
Well, we knew that.
Oh, I forgot. So
we learned that in Changing Channels.
That's right, because they trapped him. See, look, I forget a lot. So that's when they trapped him. Okay, yes, we did know that, yes.
So Loki, though, the actual Loki does look like him. So Odin does think that is Loki.
That's why they called him Loki. Yeah, I was confused at first.
Because they don't know that he's Gabriel. But yeah.
Oh, they bring him back? Okay.
They explain that a little later. Much later, basically Gabriel, to hide from the other angels, he got the permission of Loki to use his face. But Loki still exists too. So Loki and Gabriel look like twins. Gotcha. So they're both Richard Spate Jr. Spate Jr. Spate Jr. I don't know.
That makes sense. Well, yes. Yeah. He tries to double cross and kill Satan, being like, my brother, and Satan kills him. So
a Casa Erotica to the rescue.
That's true. Yeah, this was a good episode.
And that's when Gabriel and Casa Erotica, which is a continuing thing throughout the show, tells them about the cage. and that they can open the cage and push Lucifer back in. And you see Lucy's vessel is not doing great. I forgot what his vessel's name is.
I forgot the name too, but yeah, he was looking rough.
Yeah. It's a basic white guy name.
Of course it is. I don't remember.
But yes, that's what happened in that episode. And they were eating people. Why does everybody, I love, like,
They're
that's not even the first time.
Why are the gods always eating people?
I don't know, but that's not the first time that
old people were gods.
Dean's like, don't be people. The creepy old people.
Remember in the earlier episode, the two gods, like the old people at the house that they got into, and
oh yeah,
Christmas or whatever it was. Yeah,
they were making their sacrifices.
Yeah.
Were they eating them or just I
don't remember. Anyways, the devil Crowley offers to help the brothers hunt down.
Nick is Lucifer's vessel. Sorry.
Very generic. Okay. Crowley offers to help the brothers hunt down Pestilence and reclaim his ring, while Dean gets a lesson in trust when Sam's history with the Four Horsemen's demons stable boy is revealed. I don't remember this.
This is the one we get to meet Brady. So first off, Pestilence, does he look familiar? He's the Rick Moranis' next door neighbor in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He's the dad.
Oh, really? Okay. That makes sense. He had a very familiar face, yes.
Yeah. So that's what I know him the most from. I can just picture him yelling at his kids and being mad he can't go fishing. So Crowley is, trying to help the brothers out. So they're like, well, I don't want Sam to come. Sam's very emotional. And you get like, I love Crowley this episode. I feel like any episode Crowley's in, I love him because he's just like, okay, Sam's being whiny. Sam is being whiny. Sam's being ridiculous and he has anger issues. He's 100% correct. And I love that Dean actually gives Crowley some trust. So we go to meet his right-hand man, who is actually from Smallville. He played Lana's boyfriend, Whitney, in season 1. So Jensen and this guy have both played Lana Lang's love interest in Smallville. But they were trying to get the vaccine. And remember, he was trying to push the vaccine. And then when they bring him back and Sam sees who he is. And it's a friend of his from college who actually introduced him to his girlfriend, Jess. And then he's the one that actually killed Jess, not Azazel. Brady, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And at the beginning of this was the first time I caught this, and I did post it on our TikTok. When they're in the lab at the very beginning of this episode, you see a herpexia sign, and that was the herpes medication from Changing Channels, where Sam has to say the line. So funny. So I saw that, and there was actually a comic book reference to Lucifer as well. It was very subtle. Crowley's talking to Brady, and he's like, when Morningstar cleans house. Yes. Lucifer's last name in the comics is Morningstar. Yes. So some fun little Easter eggs. You got to see Crowley bring in his bigger hellhound.
Yes, that was fun when he, the hellhound broke in, and then he brought his hellhound, and they fought each other, and that was cool. I always like when they bring the hellhounds because it must be so awkward acting against something like that, because they're invisible.
There's literally nothing.
And they're just like, you hear dog noises, active dog noises, and claw marks, and like, we're gonna burst air on your face and whatever else you have to do. It's probably so awkward all the time.
Well, there's some outtakes. Like there's one of Dean, like when you're sold your soul and the hellhounds are coming to get you. You saw this at the end of season 4. No, end of season 3. No, end of season 4, where Dean's about to go to hell and he's seeing like weird faces and things start to look evil. So there's an outtake of somebody else who sold their soul and they can hear the hellhounds, and Dean's making like a face because he's supposed to, or Jensen's making the face because he's supposed to, the computer is going to add CGI effect. And he goes to make a dumb face and he goes, I can hear you laughing. And like, so that's a funny little outtake. But man. You got to see Crowley too when he's like, "Oh, I'm not going up there. There's demons up there. It's dangerous."
Yeah, he was like, "Oh God, no, I'm not. It'd be a death sentence." That was good. I do like Crowley. I can see why people like him a lot. And then, obviously these last 2 episodes really bring home what felt like a series finale more so. So, episode 21, 2 minutes to midnight, which is an Iron Maiden song. The name also has to do with being close to the apocalypse. Bobby sells Crowley his soul in exchange for the location of death, while Pestilence infects the Winchesters with a deadly disease. Oh, they start off in the nursing home. That's right. For some reason, I thought it was the last one. They start off in the nursing home, which the nursing home Sam and Dean search for Pestilence in is called Serenity Valley. This was the name of a battle in Firefly, which came out in 2002. The short-lived show featured Mark Shepard, And yeah.
Who is Crowley?
Yeah, he's Crowley, obviously. But Ben Edlund, this episode's executive producer, was a producer on Firefly, so fun little callback. And then Julian Richings played Death in at least 2 other roles besides Supernatural, including the Hallmark film Miss Scrooge and the short film Dave vs. Death. He also played a similar role in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Lightning Thief. We don't talk about that movie. And
he was the ferryman to the underworld.
I can see why. He has like a very gaunt face, and he was a very good, cool death. So
yeah, how awesome is his intro scene?
Oh yeah. So he's walking down the street, and the guy bumps into him. He brushes his shoulder off, and the guy died. That was gnarly, dude.
Gnarly, yeah, getting the dirt off your shoulder.
Yes,
he took it to the next level.
I will say though, Pestilence was fun, and then was it who cut his fingers off? Was it Castiel?
Casted?
Yeah,
it was the one where Castiel was human. He's like,
that's
like,
right. No, he pops in. And he's like,
I got enough.
A little bit. Yeah. And so I was very surprised. Like they took Pestilence out pretty quickly, and then they move on to Death because there's this big storm that's going to happen in Chicago. It's biblical. It's going to wipe out 3 million people. They show up to the vaccine facility, and Bobby can walk again, by the way, as part of getting his soul sold. And so they show up.
Crowley was nice. He added that little bit in there.
Yeah, like the little
such a giver.
Yes, I can't wait to talk in season 6 stuff. But they show up in Sam saving people, and they're killing demons because all the demons are in the vaccine facility because there's only one vaccine for swine flu in the whole country, and it's in Chicago. And
yeah, so a little bit of foreshadowing to reality in this episode. The face masks and the get the vaccine.
Ooh, creepy.
Bad guys pushing things just for money. Yes. And then
God bless America. I will say, I didn't expect Death, who's just mowing on some Chicago deep dish, to be like, look, man, fuck Lucifer. I'll give you my ring, but you have to let Sam give himself to Satan because that's the only way this is going to work. Because up to this point, Dean was against it. The idea is that Sam says yes, and he thinks he has the ability to pretty much take back over, just like Bobby did previously when he was, infected at a point. It's a decent idea. Yeah, possessed. That's what I was looking for, the right word. Thank you. So it was kind of a cool day to share some deep dish pizza, and Death was pretty badass, man. He was cool. I like Death.
Death is a foodie, and I love that he's a foodie.
I love it. Yes.
I love the way he talks to Dean too. I don't know if it was this episode or future. He's like, "Shut up, Dean."
It might have been this episode. I don't remember. However, when Lucifer is showing Sam all of the people in his life who are really agents of Azazel watching over him, he refers to Sam's prom date, Rachel. Dean is said to have slept with Sam's prom date, Rachel.
Oh, on the fake prom date in the gin-induced dream.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you slept with my prom date.
That's right. That's right.
So I think that was a little nod to that. And the line with when we jumped to Swan Song, right?
Nope.
Yeah, we're on Swan Song
I guess we did. Sorry, that's my bad. I accidentally jumped to Swan Song. So surprise, Swan Song is the finale of season 5. To stop the apocalypse, Sam and Dean must make decisions that have horrifying consequences. The Swan Song is a metaphorical phrase for final gesture, effort, or performance given just before death or retirement. The phrase refers to an ancient belief that swans sing a beautiful song just before their death, since they have been silent for most of their lifetime. It's also a record label created by Led Zeppelin. Yay. This was Eric Kripke's Swan Song because this is quote unquote kind of the series finale, or at least it was for Eric Kripke at the time. And like I just talked about, when Lucifer's showing Sam all the people, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
So the overgrown man, when, Sam's like, I didn't think you would back me on this. And he goes, well, you're a grown man. And he goes, overgrown man. He was doing that to try to make him break, and he didn't break. So they kept it in. So that was an ad-lib line by Jensen. So, and you got to hear your first moose. Crowley asks Dean, where's your moose? And he just answers him. He doesn't even say what, he just answers him. And so I saw an interview with Mark Shepard where he basically, how they came to that. And he's like, well, look at him. He's huge on top. He's very tall. He's very muscular. He can break things, and he does all the time, but he's got these 2 skinny legs. He is a moose. So that's how the whole moose thing started. And it evolves over the series too. And with with him just, Crowley's great with the nicknames, but Moose sticks. And like, I even have a little button that has Sam and he has moose ears drawn.
That's good.
Jared Padalecki's even shared things like standing in front of a moose head with the antlers and everything. So he has embraced
it, man. Yeah.
Yes. And there's another nickname that Dean ends up getting later that, he embraces as well. So, and I love it that this demon nicknames them and they run with it in real life and on the show.
Yes. Now, Sam gives himself to Lucifer, but it doesn't go as planned. So Michael,
sounds funny. He gives himself like he's losing his virginity.
Himself up, man. He gave himself up.
He's wearing you to the prom.
Thing is, this is where Michael possesses Adam. Adam says yes, and they're about to have this big final duel. And Dean comes just rolling up into the graveyard in the middle of Kansas, like, no, and sends Michael away for a little bit, and Lucifer just beats the shit out of him, man. But then again, Sam does end up coming back out and gets tossed into the cage, which I'm glad this isn't like the legit series finale, because having Sam being tossed into hell as Lucifer's vessel in a cage for eternity kind of would have been like a depressing ending, I guess.
Yeah, but he let him out.
I know, but at the same time, like, it would have been a depressing ending.
No, 100%, especially because, like, Sam was quote unquote cursed from the get-go. He never really had a chance. And Brady even said, he's like, you were turning into a good guy. So Azazel sent me in to fix that. And he's like, you were getting too soft.
It does kind of like suck. Yeah. But so I'm glad it's not, but it is satisfying that it wraps up all this demon blood stuff for now, at least, and all that. So I thought this season was good. I thought this episode was really good. It was a really strong finale as far as like show finales go.
Mm-hmm. And you got to see with Chuck narrating, it was really good.
Yes. Yeah.
And the whole car thing. And now, when we did the Lego episode, I said, oh, there's a correlation between Lego and Supernatural. That's it. With the Legos, Dean would put the Legos in the vent. So anytime the heater comes on, you hear the Legos. So when I saw a mock baby at a convention, when they do those at the conventions, if you can get in the cars, like, there are Legos on the dashboard and there are little green army men in the ashtray in the back. Like, the people who do that, they go full out and they make sure they have the green cooler and all of that. So
nice.
Fun little nods.
Yeah. That's season 5. We'll go ahead and wrap this on up. We will be right back with the boys from the Heretic Party Pod in just a moment. What's up, party people? Welcome back. As I said, we have my mans who I first met a few years ago. And the first conversation we had was he was talking about how he was going to be doing a podcast. And he explained what it was. And he said he just has to find them. He hadn't put it out yet. He'd been talking about it. Well, now he finally is doing it. So we're going to bring on Christian here in a minute to talk about the Heretic Party. But first things first, obviously, I'm Matt. With me is Lauren. We are Hops Geek News. Make sure to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching our name. That's also where you can find us on social media, Actin' Fools. And if you feel so inclined, patreon.com/HopsGeekNews. My beer today, very relevant. It is from Night Shift Brewing out of Massachusetts. It is called Apple Pie Scraper. It is an ale with apples, cinnamon, nutmeg, and milk sugar. And of course, Apple Pie Scraper. Dean, all he does is eat pie. So I picked this up again. Yeah, hamburgers, true. How many pies make a pie scraper? We couldn't agree on an answer, so we made this apple pie beer instead. Apple Pie Scraper sips with notes of crisp apple, a touch of vanilla, and delicious spices. Now, I'm from Massachusetts, right? This looks like a nice cup of apple cider. This tastes like this tastes like an apple, like a fall day on the apple orchard when you go out, you're eating apple cider donuts, you're picking apples. That's what this drink's like. So perfect beer. Lauren, what are you snapping photos of over there?
So I'm actually drinking a Pontoon Brewing Dark Side Smiggles.
What? So, hold on.
Oh.
I had to go, for one, it's still May for us. Today is actually the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. So nod to that, even though it's coming out. Tell after me
you've bought multiple cans of that one.
My husband bought this.
Fucking Josh, God damn it.
So if I go back out and I see it, I will grab it. It was one of those, I was like, oh, I saw it like on Instagram or something. I was like, shit, I need that. And Josh actually bought it. It tastes like lemonade or something. It's a Berliner style Weiss with black currant, raspberry, boysenberry, lime, blackberry, pineapple, and dark side candy. And it is a collab with Pontoon and Rar. So Rar is the little dog.
Rar is actually what we all said in our emo days to say I love you.
What?
Oh, it's not that Rar? You don't remember that? Back when we were like 13, Rar meant I love you with
when
all
you
the
were
goth
13,
girls.
I was like 20.
You weren't hitting up Rar?
I was a parent when you were 13.
Oh.
What's the little guy that's like the elevator out of order guy is what he looks like, but he does, RAR, RAR. I'll definitely post that on the TikTok and the Instagram. But it's also got little rainbow, which is relevant to a season neither of y'all have seen on Supernatural. So
I was thinking Dark Side of the Moon.
I have it in my family business beer glass because we are in the family business of hunting monsters.
We are. And that beautiful man people. Who you either see on YouTube.
Like juice.
Is it? It's good. I wouldn't know.
It's
thanks.
Good.
Brad, like I sent him money to pick me up a 4-pack of Smiggles like 3 years ago, and he never sent them. So
this is okay. You know what this tastes like? You know the popsicles back when we were kids that were like in the plastic things.
Oh,
the top off.
Otter Pops.
Yeah,
that is what this tastes like. It's like melted, but it's still cold version of that. That is what this is.
It's beautiful.
Rich. They have a Smiggles Fest coming up soon. They've got like 6 different Smiggles kind of out right now. So that might be how you got that one.
Maybe.
Anyways.
Maybe I got it because I lured the force to me.
It's true.
But I am drinking this also. It's correlated to Supernatural because obviously there's a shit ton of Star Wars references. And you reminded me, Matt, that in one of the last episodes, Lucy even says to Sam, I sense darkness in you, young Skywalker.
That's right. I did. However, that beautiful voice you hear, or maybe on YouTube you popped up, my man's Christian is here. Christian, it's so good seeing you, my friend. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us. How are you doing? What are you drinking? What's going on? How's life?
So good to see you all. God, it's been forever. It's really rad to see your faces. Glad we're finally doing this. Yeah, we talked about podcasts the very first time we met. That's wild. I had forgotten that till right now. That was our first conversation.
The first time I stepped in there, we somehow got on the topic, and you started mentioning the exact podcast that you were doing now. You wanted to do it, and I'm when you were like, "Hey, we dropped it." It makes me so happy because I was like, "That's the first conversation we ever had, man."
Yeah, and we talked about it several times. I think having conversations with you, getting advice from you was a big help. It really played into us being able to get it off the ground. So appreciate it, man, for real.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love seeing it. And you've been just like one of my boys. Like I was one of the first, I had just moved here at that time. So I didn't know anybody in the Boise area. So you were like my introduction to the Boise area. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, guys, just kiss already.
Boise again, yeah. Hey, so I'm living here in Denver now, and I've been doing some social media work for OMF. Do y'all know OMF? Our Mutual Friend Brewing.
Yes, I've heard of them.
Oh yes, Our Mutual Friend. I have heard of them. I haven't had them.
Yeah, they're rad. They're super rad. They focus mostly on like Saison and Brett mixed culture stuff.
Oh, I love those kind of beers.
I know, right?
Underrated.
They just won 2 GABF medals this last year for Brett and mixed culture, but I'm a big fan of all the Star Trek references in their beers, and so I'm drinking Inner Light. Lauren, I know at least you were a big enough Star Trek TNG fan to get that, right?
Nope, I don't know Star Trek.
The Inner Light, that's the episode with you don't know Star Trek? I've heard you make Star Trek references before. No,
I only know the movies. I don't know the shows.
All right,
but I know that there's Star Trek references in Supernatural like crazy because they even make comments about one generation versus another. I don't know. My mom did watch it, so she watched the one with Xavier when I was a kid.
Picard, yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's wild. I was sure that you were a Star Trek. I thought you were a Trekkie, and I completely blew that. My bad.
I feel like that's honestly one of the few things this geek-themed podcast is missing. Is neither of us are Trekkies.
Spot. Big time.
Yeah.
Oh, anytime you want to talk Star Trek, I won't shut up. Get me on it.
I mean,
I need to sit down one day, and I really need to dive into it. I think because I've given like the. Was it J.J. Abrams or whoever did those movies with Chris
Those
Pine.
movies were good with
They
Chris
were
Pine.
good.
Yeah. Very good.
I just never gave like Star Trek as its entirety a fair shake. And we've had like guests in the past who write Star Trek comics. We've had people be like, "Oh, we're big into Star Trek. We'd love to come chat." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That's like the one thing I don't talk." So I think I'm gonna make it my goal at some point this year to sit down and I'm gonna start diving into Star Trek.
I've heard nothing but good things with the recent show in the comics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got 10 more seasons of Supernatural, and then you can start.
Oh God, is there only 10? Jesus.
The guy who plays Pestilence in this season of Supernatural is in a famous episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. So that's what got me thinking about it. And then I was like, oh, I know a brewery that can't lay off the fucking Star Trek references. Sorry, can I cuss on this?
Of course. This is
okay.
This
Just
is
making
not a
sure.
family show.
I was just listening to you all a couple of days ago, and I swear that you didn't cuss once in the whole episode. And I was like, I wonder. And I meant to ask
rare.
before we
wonder
turned
which one
on
that was.
I'm very curious. Like, was there actually an episode? Anyways,
I can't imagine that I wouldn't drop at least one F-bomb.
I bet you did. I bet I just missed it.
Maybe.
It's so natural. But no, Christian, we brought you on because obviously Supernatural, religion. Tell us about that podcast that you introduced me to like 3 years ago now.
Yeah, so it's called Heretic Party, and the tagline is a podcast for apostates, which is really kind of it. We're just trying to be silly and fun about our religious trauma. And I know that sounds maybe disrespectful and weird,
healing.
but
we've talked about how
it
religions
is.
are cults on this show and many times, and we've all kind
Yeah.
of gone
I
through
grew
it
up in
some
Sunday
sort of way.
school.
Yeah, like I've grew up in that kind of realm too, and I have family members who are very immersed in it. And me, it's like not for me personally.
The sad thing is there's really good people that are in religion, and I've met some amazingly sweet people that would bend over backwards to do some great things, but I've also met people who will use it to manipulate you. And
yeah, we like to draw the line between religion and spirituality, right? Your spirituality is your business. That's what goes on inside you, and that's no one's business. I feel like I don't care. Like, but the second that your religion starts encroaching on our laws, and the second you try to start telling us what to do, or do things like tell children they're going to go to hell if they lie, or things like that, that gets really gets under my skin. So myself and the two other hosts, we all three grew up really religious in very different churches. We all have a lot of trauma related to that, and we found a really good way to cope with it, and that's just to make a lot of stupid fart jokes and dick jokes about it and be silly and give some voice to the people who've left religion, because there's this thing that I was a part of when I was super Christian, when I was super Pentecostal evangelical, that we won't talk to someone once they've left the church. We don't formally excommunicate them, but we don't want to hear their story. Maybe it offends us, maybe it hurts us that someone left, but now that I have left the church, I really felt that break in communication, that like break from community, and I think it sucks. So we want to make sure that there's a space for religious folks ex-religious folks to tell their stories and, be heard and tell a dick and a fart joke occasionally about God.
So it's the Kevin Smith. I mean, God
Look,
invented
I deal with
dick and
everything,
farts,
and I deal with
dicks
trauma
and
through
farts.
jokes. So
yeah,
I
It's
see
like
nothing wrong with that.
It's the Kevin Smith approach to healing from
Yeah.
religious trauma.
Well, it's
absolutely.
Everybody, that's what's interesting, right? Is the religion is so massive in around the world. There's so many different kinds, and I always think it's funny when you see those like this Jen whatever isn't so believing in God anymore. I'm just like, religion is shrinking, but at the same time it still has such a firm grasp on foundations and things that it kind of shouldn't, in my mind, like politics and whatnot. And it's kind of scary in a way,
Right.
being on the outside as somebody who's not religious, as we all kind of aren't at this point. Looking in, it's like, wow, when you're in it, it's like you believe and you're kind of like blindly guided. But then when you kind of get out, so to speak, looking back in, it's like, wow, to me, it's kind of a scary thing looking in from the outside now.
See, How I grew up, though, church was fun. Like, I went to Sunday school and I played basketball for the church, and I was in Bible Bowl. And like, what's funny is my daughter was in my closet yesterday, my 10-year-old, and she found my Bible. I still have my childhood Bible, and it is covered with notes and highlights and pictures. And I'm drawing karaoke and I'm drawing
drawings all throughout it.
And no, it was all like, lyrics to songs I liked at the time. And she starts like asking me questions, and because I never took my kids to church. My husband was raised Jewish, I was raised Christian, and we don't take them to anything.
Yeah,
and she's asking me these questions. She's like, so you like went to church and you liked it? And I'm like, well, it was fun. But I do remember a Sunday school teacher one time, I was a kid, like in elementary school, and she had said, it's our job to convert other people, because if they don't accept Christ into their heart, then they can go to hell. And I said, well, what if they never get the opportunity? And she goes, everybody gets the opportunity at some point. And I said, yeah, but what if they live here? And she like cut me off. Like, there was no arguing. It was, no, you are like straight up, like everybody gets the opportunity. Like, and I was ready to ask more questions. Like, what about babies? What about people who live on an island who have never met a Christian? And it was just, they, taught. But outside of that, I always had a really good churches that we went to. My mom would go to churches before we moved somewhere and check them out to make sure they were good ones. And like, when I was 19 and found out I was pregnant, my mom was working at a church. They donated a bunch of stuff to us. And like, the pastor's wife came and visited me at the hospital when Kaylee was born, and they were nothing but supportive. And those people get such a bad rap because they're the minority in religion. So, and I'll pull it into supernatural so we don't go too far off on a tangent. But I always found one thing very interesting with supernatural is they touch on every religion. They touch on God, and like, you didn't make it to season 15, so you don't know how far they go with God. I highly recommend you do it. But they touch on God, they touch on paganism, they touch on Odin and all these other gods, but they never talk about Jesus. And I don't know why. I don't know why Jesus is off the table. Maybe because he was a good one.
I have a guess. I mean, I think it's because they, it's unfortunately not. It's not an in-universe guess. It's a business guess. I think that if they were to include Jesus, they would be blamed by Christians for including Jesus in something that was not appropriate or not, and blasphemous, and then they'd be accused by non-Christians of being of proselytizing or advertising for Christianity. So it's better just to leave it off the table. That's a guess based on,
I mean, it makes sense
how I would have seen it then and how I see it now.
Well, so
but they even had
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that a Christmas episode and didn't even mention Jesus. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe because they talk about so many different religions. If you start to bring in Jesus, then it feels like you're narrowing things down to one specific religion or corner of religion. That's just kind of was always my take at it in a roundabout way, but then I don't know if that's accurate, because again, they touch on all the religions.
They talk about so many different things. And he's like, I like when Castiel's like explaining who Moses is, and they're like, that's right, that's who Moses is. Okay.
We can roll Moses out of this one.
Right.
They're saving Jesus for the movie. They're gonna, that'll be
there you go.
Yes.
So at some point before you finish talking about Supernatural, you should have Leanne on. Leanne, my co-host. She has a really similar background to you in that she was, Lauren, in that she got pregnant, I think when she was 19 also, but she was just completely excommunicated from her church and her community and left out on the street. But she's a crazy Supernatural fan, and she credits Supernatural with helping her recover from a lot of the really like anxious fears she had about hell and demons. Something about representing them in this really fun, cheesy way. I mean, I love the cheese in Supernatural. I'm not shitting on it. I think it's an incredible show, but like something about it. I'm trying not to speak for her because I think you should hear from her about it.
Absolutely have her on. Yeah.
Yeah, I love her already.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were just this episode that comes out this coming Sunday. We went to see a film that's out in theaters right now that's by a Christian company. The movie's called Nefarious, and it's about a demon-possessed serial killer. And it's just a complete joke of a propaganda piece, starring the guy from Boondock Saints, not Norman Reedus from Walking Dead, but the other guy.
Oh, the other guy that everybody forgets about.
Yeah.
Career.
Yeah. I forgot his name, but
we know who you're talking about.
His name's like Patrick
Yeah.
Flannery or something like that. Yeah.
That's it. I think it's something like that. Yeah, really. Sean Patrick
name.
Flannery.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Yeah,
you got what a good pull, man. Trivia points for you right there.
Let's go.
Yeah. But we left Leanne out of that episode because we were concerned that she was going to have issues with watching a motion picture about demon possession. Like that's how deeply rooted that trauma can be sometimes. Anyway, wow. But Supernatural cuts right through it, gets to the good stuff. Well, like, all that fun spiritual warfare stuff that
it does
without any
there's no trauma.
Yeah.
Well, and how it develops too, in season 1, they're, a demon that's out of our league. And then we're only on season 5 and you're already seeing them, work with the king of the crossroads, Crowley. And obviously that progresses further in the next 10 seasons as well that I won't, go into. But so it does make things like everything seems so much simpler. And it's just, hell can't be that bad if Crowley's, running shit. And he's not that bad.
Crowley's kind
There's
of a nice
ways
guy.
out of everything. Crowley's. I met Crowley, the guy who plays Crowley in Boise at a comic convention. Not met him. I stood in line and said hi awkwardly.
Well, this is my picture right here. That's me with Crowley at MegaCon.
I've seen him at
that's so cool.
Him at so many Comic Cons, and he seems like the most accessible celebrity on Celebrity Row for whatever reason. Like the nicest guy. I always see him out from his desk. He's always taking pictures of everybody. But to me, he was just like, oh, I only knew him in Supernatural. I didn't know Supernatural then. So I never went and talked. Now I'm like, damn it, Lauren. Why didn't I do this sooner? We could have had something at FanX.
Dude, I tried for years. Go back and listen to our episodes. I tried for years.
I remember hearing you trying to talk him into it. And I messaged you. Remember, I messaged you on Instagram and I was like, what is his problem? Why isn't he not listening to...
Who would have known, like when we started this podcast, that now I would be like super into Star Wars cartoons and he'd be super into Supernatural. Did not see either of those coming.
Here we are.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That cross-pollination of nerd stuff. Love it.
Well, it was funny. He texted me the other day. He saw the episode where Crowley kisses the one guy kisses Bobby. That's what it was.
Kisses Bobby. Yeah. Did you guys, is there a kiss? Is there a picture? And he pulled out the picture. He's like, you took photos?
Yeah. So when I was at FanX, somebody asked him about that. And Mark Shepard literally pulled that picture up within less than 30 seconds, which means he must have that picture favorited. And so I sent Matt a picture that I took at FanX when I was in there by myself, because I don't think Carrie stayed with me either. I think you guys were seeing Steve from Blue's Clues, and I was seeing Crowley.
Yeah, choices were made.
And I took the picture of him holding his phone with the picture of him and Bobby kissing. So Mark Shepard has that picture on his actual phone.
He's so great. Amazing. He's pure charisma, just so magnetic, right?
He is.
Can't stop watching
but he's
him.
a mess at the same time, which I think almost makes it better.
Yeah.
He's like, at the Comic Cons, like bedhead, and but
he's it kind of matches his character, Crowley, though, because I don't feel like Crowley wears nice suits and stuff, but I always feel like Crowley kind of also, like, maybe it's just his face looks disheveled at times.
Yes, and in real life, even so, and he was so sweet too, though. Like, so he's sober. He's been sober for years, and we had beers in our hands at MegaCon, and I'm like, oh, should we put the beers down? And Mark Shepard goes, no, take get the beers in the picture. Let's take a picture. And he was very tired, and he's like, oh, we've been filming Doom Patrol. That's why I look so tired. And I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like, ooh, insight.
That's great.
Now, Christian, I got a question. So in Supernatural, obviously, with the religious aspects, things are pretty lighthearted. As somebody who was like deeply rooted at a point with the aspect of religion, what are some things that you're just like, all right, you see it happen? That's maybe not the case, or maybe not what you grew up kind of being. I don't want to use the word indoctrinated, but like taught, I guess, is a better word.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good question. I think that a big revelation for me, no pun intended, when I was sort of breaking from the church in my mid-20s, was that I was discovering that many of the things related to demons and hell and the devil, were not really in the Bible. a lot of that stuff, I mean, hell is mentioned. I think we discovered when we did an episode about it 11 times in the Bible, something like that.
Wow.
Which you think it'd be more. There's so many pages,
But I
so
mean,
many verses.
is it
Yeah,
only in the New Testament? Because I know
20
Judaism
times.
doesn't believe in hell.
Yeah, that's combining. Yeah, please don't quote me on 11 times. I think it might be 20 times or something like that. But it's a combination of three different words, and one of them is Sheol. I think the Jewish word for like oblivion, I think maybe, or like
Okay.
something like that. Again, this is not my wheelhouse, but I I learned that a lot of that stuff comes from Milton, comes from Paradise Lost, comes from Dante's Inferno, comes from a lot of medieval sort of sacred, poetic, religious inspired literature. And the church has sort of adopted it over the years and turned things like Satan and Lucifer are probably not historically even the same character in the Bible, and they get combined into one thing. And the three different mentions of hell all get combined into one thing. And Supernatural just like takes that medieval concept of heaven and hell and spiritual warfare and angels and demons and just like gives it a bag of cocaine and tells it to go crazy.
I was gonna say because... a great big bag of dicks, because that's what Gabriel calls Lucifer.
For some reason I thought he was going with the bag of dicks too, and he was like bag of cocaine. I was like, oh, that makes way more sense.
That does.
So I actually the cocaine bear of the Bible is what it is.
Oh, I love that. That should be like their description.
It's on the back of the DVD.
James Bible, the Old Testament term Sheol is translated as hell 31 times, and it is translated as the grave 31 times. Sheol is also translated as the pit 3 times. Modern Bible translations typically render Sheol as the grave, the pit, or death.
Yeah. It's really complicated, right? It's not just like what I was taught when I was in the church was that it was just like the word hell in Greek and in Hebrew meant hell exactly the way we picture it now. And
right, a pit with fire and brimmin.
There was so much like I mean, you think that the plot holes in Supernatural get big. You should see the plot holes in the Bible. It goes and goes, and there's so much headcanon and fan fiction to like combine it all.
Well, every book has a different author. It's so, to me, I looked at it and it was the biblical interpretations of the politics, the male politics that, was their side. And, you don't have any, they claim there's a book of Mary, but we'll never know it.
Well, my confusion is like, there's like the Old Testament, which isn't that like everything before Jesus existed?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like,
so everyone in the Old Testament went to hell because their sins weren't forgiven.
Oh, see, that's what makes me confused. I don't know. I guess my biggest problem with religion at all times is like everything has to be black or white. Like,
I think that's what makes things, I guess, Supernatural so good as well, because
that's why I'm drawn to it, because it really I've talked about this on the show, is it really plays into my issues with religion. It's like, okay, where's God at during these times when people are dying, or why?
And they're mad. Yeah, God, where the fuck are you? Yeah,
like why are we? Well, if God's this vengeful, hateful being, it doesn't make any sense to me.
He's wrathful, not vengeful. But the angels are warriors of heaven, and that is accurate in the Bible too. But sometimes when I'm watching and I see Gabriel, I'm like, he was there when Jesus was born, because that's the angel that's in all like the nativity thing.
It is, and I bet you anything, I don't know this for sure, but I bet you that he's 100% not mentioned as Gabriel anywhere in the Bible at Jesus's birth. I bet you anything that was one of those medieval adaptations that came later, because I heard the same thing that you did, that it was Gabriel, and the second you said it, I was like, 95% of the time when we look this sort of thing up for the podcast and do a little research, Leanne is a librarian, and so she looks up this kind of stuff and does a lot of research and saves me from having to dig back into that stuff anymore. And we're just constantly discovering that like you said, it was a tool. The way that Supernatural uses all that stuff is a rad tool to tell cool stories, and it sounds like they use a lot of other religion and mysticism later on.
Yes,
that's so cool.
Well, I mean, they do in the first 5, but they go on and they have a whole season with the Leviathans, which is just, you saw the Leviathan season, which I think unnecessarily gets crapped on, because the dick jokes alone were just amazing for that season.
It's got Felicia Day too. That's a great season.
We actually did meet her at FanX. She was so sweet.
Yeah.
Was she? That's great. That's good to know.
She was
That's
there,
cool.
Yes.
Yeah, no, she was super nice, and we talked to her for a few minutes, and I love her. And Matt hasn't met her yet in Supernatural, so
all these Supernatural like people at cons that we were pushing Lauren to go meet. Now I'm like, why didn't I wish?
She's just gone.
I know. I should, for future reference, if I'm not into something, make me do it, because there's a chance I'm gonna get into it at some point.
Make you.
How many conventions do you all go to a year? Is it one or two, or do you do more than that?
I mean, it depends. I always do MegaCon.
Yeah, I did Seattle this year, and I want to plan it to where I can do Salt Lake on my way out of, heading to the East Coast, but we'll see, because we'll just see how it works out. But I know next year where I'm going to be living, there's 3 Comic-Cons within a 2-hour radius of me. So I'm probably going to do 3, and then maybe I get to do Orlando too. Who knows? But I just love Comic-Cons.
Me too.
They're so fun, but they're pricey and they're tiring.
Oh, they're expensive. They're tiring, but it's like meeting with your people for a weekend of just nerding out, and
all of them have beer now too.
It's like a nerd church, if you will.
They didn't used to. Like
that is so great.
Year was 2022 was the first year ever that MegaCon had beer, and I literally was like, and ran over, and it wasn't Bud Light, it was Dragon Milk, so the milk stout, so it was good beer. And it was funny because I ran into somebody else that I've met through the beer community, and of course that's where we ran into each other. And then this year they had 3 beers, and they were all barrel aged 11% beers.
Seattle had a beer garden, but you had to be 21 to enter, so I couldn't leave my son standing outside as Dad's getting sauced up.
So you're telling me I didn't need to drill a hole in my lightsaber to turn it into a flask? I can just
no, but that makes it
what a waste.
Who doesn't need a lightsaber flask? So I have heard theories that Kripke is actually writing the Book of Winchester. He's a prophet. So Kripke is an actual prophet, and he has written the Book of Winchester. So we are still it's a meta thing. So I heard that theory, which I really loved. And now he's writing the Book of the Boys. You can just see how terrible humanity is.
I knew that Dean was in The Boys. I forgot the actor's name.
Soldier Boy, yeah, Jensen Ackles.
Soldier Boy, that's right, yeah. But is does The Boys share a creator from Supernatural? Did I miss that?
Yes. So the creator, Eric Kripke of Supernatural, is the showrunner on The Boys. So he didn't create The Boys. Yeah,
that makes so much sense.
But what's really funny though is, do you watch The Boys?
I don't think I've seen the last season, or maybe I saw part of it. Yeah.
Bobby plays Robert Singer in The Boys, and he's Robert Singer in Supernatural. And he's called Dakota Bob is the comic book character he's playing. And obviously Bobby lives in Dakota, which is that was just a happy accident.
Wait, Bobby's in The Boys?
He plays Robert Singer.
In The Boys?
Yes. There's
Where
even
have I been?
In the last
I'm
season
totally
of
spacing
The
this
Boys,
too.
Jensen Ackles sees a sign that says singer for whatever, and he goes, edit. You're fucking with me, right? Seriously?
I don't. I feel like the Men in Black showed up and hit me with their pen, and I don't recall this at all.
All right, well, I will be sending you TikToks from our TikTok that have Bobby Singer in it as Robert Singer. He's Dakota Bob.
That's so cool.
He's the politician that Moff Gideon's talking to.
Wow. I feel like I just discovered a whole new world.
I'm going to give you a minute for there. So Christian, where were you in your religious journey when you started Supernatural, and what made you pick up Supernatural?
I was at least 7, 8, maybe closer to 10 years out of being actively a part of the church. What I've discovered after talking to a ton of people about their journey leaving religion and building a new community and a new life is that it's very rarely like a clean break unless the church and their family and community forces it on them. For me, it was a long, drawn out process. And I didn't start Supernatural until I had a friend who was just super into it, and she convinced me to watch it. And
that seems to be pretty common.
I know, it sounds familiar, right? It didn't it didn't occur to me at all that it was something that should bother me, because of all the references. And I think that's just a credit to how enjoyable, how fun of a show it is, and how, like, without feeling like it's treading carefully, it must be treading carefully on these things, and working hard to not, I mean, I guess the really traumatic things that happen to people in church, that those things don't happen in the show. The things that do happen are, uh, you get possessed by a demon and then get blown away by Bobby Singer and the Winchesters, right? That doesn't actually happen. So you're not going to see that and be like, oh boy, that reminds me of that one day in church,
The day I was possessed and then blown to bits.
This takes me back to that time where.
So the fiction of it, you're saying there is a peace of mind when you watch something and it's fiction. It's like I can't watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre because I know it was based on real events, and that would just bother me.
We were just talking about this on Joe and Leanne and I were talking on the podcast the other day about how interesting it is that some horror fans can't do like home invasion movies, but they can do things with any amount of like spiritual devil demon stuff, and some people can do anything but ghosts, and some people can do anything but aliens. Like I don't know where the categories of what really terrifies you, how those get created, but
it is interesting.
But I believed demons were real. I believed they were around me all the time, and I don't think it took very long after leaving religion to sort of get over that part of it. But I know people who are terrified by it still. What are you all scared of? What's your number? I mean, man, it's the real question.
I mean, as a parent,
serial killer thing for you.
I think my number one fear is a school shooter. That sounds terrible to take it realistic.
Yeah, yikes. I guess my stuff is more of like the home invasion type stuff that's more realistic, because there are, especially you look at the news now and it's just people are fucking psycho. They're for whatever reason, people have just gone absolutely batshit insane. And so
they've always been batshit insane. Everyone
agree, but something
now,
broke in
find
us.
Other batshit crazy people now.
I think like maybe 5 years ago, something in this country broke, and now it seems to be more openly okay to be.
It's probably because the apocalypse got started.
I mean, true,
yeah, we're already in it. What's the
anything to do with kids? That's my thing. In horror movies, like I watched this horror movie recently where this family went on vacation. They met this other family, and they vacationed together, and it turns out the one couple who didn't have a kid were psycho. They pulled the kids. They pulled they kidnapped their other people's daughter. They pulled her tongue out. Like it was fucking brutal. And so I guess that's my thing is with kids, because I have kids. So it's like,
anything
that's
with
my
kids.
Thing.
Even the scene where Anakin walks in with the younglings.
No, that's fine.
Still
yikes.
Like, no, that's not fine.
We've all had those moments where you step into your kid's room and you just want to start cutting them up with a lightsaber.
It's fine because they don't show it. That's why it's fine. Because all you see is that cute little boy.
Master Skywalker was too many of them. What are we going to do?
Oh my God.
I'll tell you what, my new empire.
But if they showed that scene, none of us would have wanted redemption for Anakin. We all would have been like, let him burn, take him down.
Oh, man.
But so going back to Supernatural, tell us some of your favorite things. Because I love hearing people's, there's always the cliche, like I like changing channels. I like French mistakes. So what are some things that aren't the cliche? Oh, these are the best episodes that you truly love. It could be a moment or an episode.
You mentioned the Christmas episode, which is like toward the end of season 2, right?
Season
3. Yeah. And that one really got me. The magic of Supernatural for me is that like I can be laughing out loud 1 minute at the intentional cheesiness or the silly reference, and then just be genuinely moved. I don't know how that's done. I don't know how you pull off that sort of magic trick in a TV show. But it's got to be those guys. I know, God. Yeah. Cast like 3, 4, 5 of the hottest men on earth, and then see if they can act. And it turns out they all do these incredible, they can really sell like a dramatic moment a few minutes after just being complete jackasses. And God, what a great show. I'm getting so excited about watching it again, talking to you all right now.
Well, if you finish it, you should come back, and maybe when Matt'll be done,
you,
we can talk about
Leanne,
15.
yeah, we all need to like reoccurring supernatural experts coming on. And
we'll do a live show at a supernatural con.
Yeah. I'm so down. Little like crossover. Yeah.
Yes. Or at their brewery.
We can jump the shark.
Yeah. We can jump the shark. Oh, that was actually the name of one of the episodes not long ago. I think it was season 4, Jump the Shark.
Yeah, it's the episode where I already thought they had jumped the shark like 5 times. That's one with the little brother, right?
Adam. Yeah.
Yeah. and then they jump the shark every 4 episodes for the rest of the entire series, I think. Is they're always finding a way to be sillier and push it. Real quickly, the Christmas episode you're talking about is the one with the old couple, right?
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's the only one. I don't know why, but they never did another Christmas episode.
No kidding.
Which really surprised me because, like, I mean, there's Krampus. There's so much. Look at Christmas Horror Story, the movie. Like, that's my favorite Christmas horror movie. And yeah, they only did the pagans, but no, I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity. I'm sure it had to do with just filming and when they were filming and the storylines, but
yeah, that makes sense.
But, I mean, yeah, that was a great one. I mean, you got Santa watching porn and he's all drunk and then moved by them caroling, and you got the flashbacks.
Yeah. Can I get a little nerdy about story stuff real quickly? One of the things that really appeals to me about the show is that they set really clear rules to how things are going to work. I had a writing teacher once tell me that that a twist should feel inevitable and it should still be a surprise. And I think that Supernatural does it so well so often because they set up the rules. They say, when you do this symbol on the ground, it causes this effect. And if we collect all the rings from the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, then something will happen in particular. And they give you the rules, and then they find a way to still surprise you and make those rules make sense. It's brilliant writing. It really is. I know that it is like, I mean, it's not like an Emmy award-winning show. It's not prestige TV, but I really think it deserves more credit than it gets. Like, I think it's really smart.
They really do a great job of that. Agreed. They go from like your goofy to, oh, wow, this is a really serious moment, back to we're doing goofy stuff again, where Dean's being scared of a cat in the locker or something like that. It's a great job. It is really good writing.
Shit. I mean, I didn't get into it until late 2016, and it was only because I was pregnant and miserable.
I think it was because the channel that it was on.
Yeah, but also their marketing. They advertised it, and they literally make fun of it in the show. When you meet Chuck and you see the books, it looks like the cover of like a romance novel or something. And it looks like it's targeting young girls. It looks like it's targeting that Dawson's Creek audience, which, don't get me wrong, I was in high school when Dawson's Creek came out. I watched it. But I never gave it the time of day because I thought, this looks cheesy. It looks silly. I'm not into this stuff. To me, it was like Vampire Diaries or Twilight, which again, they make fun of Twilight. Matt just watched that episode. What is it? Live Free or Twi Hard?
Something like that. Yes.
God, that's so good.
I had no idea what the hell the show was. And I kept seeing stuff about it at cons. And I was like, well, maybe I should give it a chance. And it was on Netflix. And it was like 11 seasons in. And I needed something to entertain me while I felt like shit. And that's it. I had no idea. Here we are. No fucking clue, man. No clue. But also the amount of pop culture references makes it a lot of fun. And that's something I think you catch a lot more when you rewatch. And like, there's a younger generation now watching it, and they're not getting those pop culture references, a lot of them. But
I bet they're discovering classic rock.
Yes.
100%. Between this and Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean.
Yeah, good point.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, it's great because I can put on a Supernatural mix or a Guardians of the Galaxy mix, and it entertains the grandparents, myself and my husband, and the kids. So it's like multi-generational.
Oh. That's great. We were just discussing, Leanne and Joe and I, that I was going to come on here and talk with you about Supernatural, and that's when Leanne went just gushing about the show. And Joe has never seen a single episode. Joe, he's been on your podcast before, and he was just he was like, well, I guess I got to start it now. And we're like, yep, it's time. It's going to come around to everyone eventually.
That's how it starts. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first episode, I remember when Matt watched it, he's like, wait, what? They just killed the mom that quick? I was like, yeah, she got to go. I hate her. Like,
they really did. Like episode 1, I was like, oh God, I wasn't expecting. It's like some of the stuff I'm like, oh wow, they did this as fast or that. And she's like, yeah, duh.
Duh.
That's, I mean, I've been saying, well, it's funny too, because you go back and we'll listen, because I was pulling a clip. I made a TikTok about Matt rolling his eyes about me talking about Bobby and then talking about how Bobby's a real one. So I had to like go back and I was listening to this older Supernatural episode and Matt's just rolling his eyes and yeah, then once you get sucked in, you get sucked in. So
Bobby's in Breaking Bad. He's a character just in a couple of episodes that is similar enough. I think you could
Bobby's
believe in a crossover
man.
universe there.
So I watched Breaking Bad before I got into this, and so I was going back and watching Better Call Saul, and then my husband had on Breaking Bad, and I was like, oh shit, that's Bobby. And also you got the doctor from Bedtime Stories is the creepy guy that Walt's wife was working for that then like lied and tried to get money, and they had to go threaten him. So
right.
I mean, yeah, there's a ton of crossovers, and yeah, he's still Bobby in that movie too. But I know we've had you on here long. We got to wrap up, but and we definitely have to have you guys come back because we're not done talking about Supernatural tonight or next week or ever.
I would love to.
Other things that stick out in your brain that you feel like you just need to get off your chest real quick?
I've been holding back because I cannot remember which season certain things happen in. And when you asked me to point out certain like specific moments, I had one in mind that I'm afraid to say. So I will message you about it.
Okay, I was gonna say, can you give me
and then you can be like, oh
it's
God.
Safe?
It involves a symbol and a bullet.
Oh, he hasn't gotten there yet.
Okay.
All the more reason to bring you back on.
Was that vague enough? Did I give it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me though, y'all. Yeah. This has been so fun. Check it out. Time Zero is this beer I'm drinking now. Another Star Trek reference that you don't get, but one day you're going to be watching Star Trek and be like, I think that was that thing Christian was talking about.
I'm sitting there as the Leo meme.
Hey, well, he's had me watch, Star Wars, and so I understand a lot more references in Supernatural just by watching that.
That's true.
Like I didn't know who Wedgie Antilles was, and then that's the name Sam uses in the first episode.
I heard you mention that in the last episode. Yeah, or one of those. Yeah. That's great.
Oh, man. Well, Christian, as we wrap up this one, we're gonna have you back, but where can people find the podcast though? That's the most important.
Oh, yeah, Heretic Party. It's on everything. You can Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. Anyone use that? No one uses Google Podcasts.
I've always wondered that.
I should try. Maybe it's cool.
Non-Apple Spotify. Like, do people actually do that?
I know. I use Spotify.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you can find it anywhere. We just started season 2. We have some really fun interviews with interesting folks. I don't want to say yet because they're not out yet, but interesting Christian icons who are now ex-religious, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, it's been really, really fun. We have episodes about awful Christian movies and Veggie Tales and all sorts of fun stuff.
I used to love Veggie Tales.
Yes.
I follow some guy on TikTok. I don't know what his name is, but he reviews terrible Christian movies with the one guy. There's like an older guy who does all these Christian movies. Next time it comes up,
I know who you're talking about.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I know who you're talking about, I think.
And he actually went and interviewed the guy in person, and he still reviews the movies and like trashes them.
Oh, in the last episode, we were just talking about there's a brewery that just opened in New York a couple of years ago it's a Christian brewery owned by Kelsey Grammer. I forgot. I was going to ask you all about it.
Random.
It's got this ridiculous patriotic name. It's called like America something. Oh my God.
It's Kelsey Grammer. I didn't know he was like that. I mean, come on, he's the beast. He should know what discrimination feels like.
You just almost exactly quoted what Joe said when I told him about the brewery. That's amazing. That's
Faith
amazing.
American Brewing Company.
Faith American Brewing. That's it. Yeah. Come
Yikes.
on.
Yikes.
That's got everything in it right there. It's got faith. It's got patriotism. And
I had
beer.
heard that he had brewed a beer, but I didn't realize he had opened a brewery. Oh, it's near the Catskills.
I think it's a contract brewery. I don't think it's real. I think it's a brand. Yeah.
One of those,
I think I had heard that, but I had no idea it was religion based.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, guys, tune in next time. Christian, we're going to have you guys back. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hey, go watch Supernatural. Go listen to Heretic Party. Let's have a big party. And we'll see you next week. Cheers.